So this is work that was done, as our chair mentioned, by a team of us, Dr. Yvette, who is the executive secretary of BCAFC, the agency that Milton was just talking about, and then Dr. Samia Starks. And so Yvette and I provided technical guidance on this project, but majority of this work was carried out by Samia. And so I will just be presenting on behalf of our team here. And so just to set this theme here for us, some of this is common knowledge, but about 13 out of the 15 member states of CARICOM, conduct some form of aquaculture. And as you see on this graph here, there are about 14 species are cultured commercially and contribute to the GDP of these countries across the region. And 12 of these member states have already indicated that, have already included the continued development and improvement of aquaculture in their national plans and strategies. And so across the region, aquaculture ranges from research and development, trying to figure out what we can do, to pilot studies and commercial scale implementation. And also technology is known across the region, and some are well tested for land-based, pond, and coastal marine systems. However, despite this potential across our region, aquaculture development and the mainstream of aquaculture continues to remain very low. And we've identified some of those major challenges in the sustainable development of aquaculture. Some of the ones that we've highlighted include geographical, language, and political differences, which can sometimes hinder the exchange of knowledge and information across a region. At the same time, most of our countries have limited land and freshwater resources. Yet, despite this, in existing aquaculture within the region, land-based systems continue to dominate. There are also operational limitations, including limited aquaculture, sanitary and processing facilities, and this leads to reliance on imported labor, as well as feed and feed supplies coming in, being imported in rather than being developed in country. There's also policy and development gaps in terms of aquaculture legislation and regulations are still not at pace with the development of the sector. But there's also resources, right? So in order to harness this potential, or what we have identified as this potential for aquaculture development, there also needs to be this political will to be able to diversify and expand the aquaculture sector. And this can be done through harnessing various other resources, such as financial aid from international and private organizations. At the same time, across the region, the coastal marine environment is quite extensive, and this provides us with quite a big opportunity for what we can harness. And so, currently, about 5% of our coastal marine environment is being used for aquaculture, and of interest. There's interest for expanding this sector as an alternative to the limited land base that we have, is to be able to harness the coastal and marine environment. And so there's also this importance in terms of shifting to culturing traditionally fish and consume marine species. So the species that we already harnessing and catching, there's this movement to try and culture those species. And the technology is already available for 10 of the native species locally consumed across our region. And importantly, the know-how in order to implement aquaculture at different scales is poorly communicated. So we have pockets of this, but it's not communicated across the region. And so with that in mind, it's how do we make use of countries' drive and available resources to move forward, right? So I've demonstrated that there is this drive, there's this interest, the enabling environment is starting to come into place, but how do we then leverage and move our region forward? And so with that background in mind, our team tried to look at establishing facilitated information exchange, training, and financial opportunities with this central objective in mind. That objective was the development of an aquaculture library, a digital aquaculture library, as a way to harness communication, enable communication across multiple sectors, as a way to expand and improve upon our knowledge exchange. And so, as you noticed in the last slide, one of the things that we discovered was that we have a lot of this information in the region, but it's not being disseminated across multiple players. And so this digital library was one way that we thought would be able to achieve that. And so methodology, I won't go into too much details on this. I'll present this slide for your information here. We did some expertise data collection. We looked at assessment of aquaculture status in 2022. And CARICOM conducting a short questionnaire to member countries, and then we also compiled aquaculture documentation. So we were using, combining some primary data from the questionnaire, but also some existing data as well, doing some key interviews, key informant interviews across the region, and pulling from, again, the extensive library that we have across the area. And so just looking at some brief results here, so what we did, again, our goal was to develop this digital library, this hub of where we can find information in this centralized location. And so what that library looks like now is that we have this list of registry of experts, so folks who work in the space of aquaculture across multiple subsectors within aquaculture, right? So we have all this, we have this registry of individuals, their names, their contact information, where they're located. And in addition to that, we have this publication library, which we found to be very important, that houses a lot of the technical guides, project reports, national plans, as well as peer-reviewed papers. And so we have a link. There's also this online link to CARICOM Aquaculture publications. And so this link also, again, forms a part of that those publications. So what we think are some of the benefits of this library, I've been harping on some of those, but just to reinforce them here, is the support of the creation of opportunities, right? So using the information of who we have in the region that are already working on aquaculture, the information that we have, it creates that opportunity for folks to be able to leverage and use as they think about projects, ideas, or experts to contact. It also provides easy access, right? So if member countries want to develop their own plan, they can harness, they can leverage the existing database that we've developed as a way to be able to get a starting, a launching pad of how others are looking at aquaculture implementation in their countries. And then lastly, there's also these technical guides and fact sheets, which are important as a way to see what is working in other countries, what are the best practices that those countries have put in place, and how others can be able to leverage, right? So it provides this key benefit is that it pulls all of this information that was once disparate, it pulls all of it together in one hub. And so as we move forward, as I wrap up, so maximizing information exchange was one of the central components of this study. We wanted to be able to make use of regional turnkey technologies as a way to actively develop environmentally sustainable aquaculture operations. And so we've listed some of this in terms of obtaining technical support and training nationals. The 6 species of interest for CARICOM states are currently being successfully produced. And so more information on this is available in our report that we're happy to share. And then there's also the potential outcomes, right, of diversifying aquaculture types and moving away from the land-based aquaculture to move more towards harnessing the extensive coastal marine space that we currently have. And so the potential outcome, pulling the thread on the diversification of species. So if we diversify, moving away from land-based to more marine-based, this allows us to be able to strengthen our capacity a little bit more. And so you see, these are the 14 species currently being cultured across the region, and the number of countries that are culturing. So you see, while there's we have a lot of diversity in species, the number of countries participating or having aquaculture are very limited with tilapia. Quite a few of the member countries are using tilapia right now. And so one of the species, as we move forward in terms of species with known technology of interest, and so just as a point, this is from the questionnaire that we ran in 2022, and so this is in terms of technology of interest, and so what folks are interested in as a way to diversify their aquaculture, right? So we see that folks are some of those already commercial important species, such as spiny lobster and freshwater prawn and white shrimp. Those are and bass. Those are some of the things that countries indicated that they are interested in trying to move forward and push forward. And so lastly, pooling regional resources and strengthening collaborations. I've harped on this a little bit, so I won't go into too much detail on it. But strengthening network, I think building on what Milton has talked about recently, is leveraging that network that is already in place as a way to enable a common market approach, to develop regional proposals, to obtain assistance in statistical reporting and statistical analysis, as well as to identify and promote export opportunities and member-to-member exchanges. Again, getting away from that silos in current data. And so lastly, this is an approach in terms of yearly updates. So if you put a database in place, you need to be able to update it. This is our approach of how we are updating that database. Again, a regional cooperation across multiple scales from member countries all the way up to week of C and FAO. And so with that, if you have any additional questions, please do contact Samia, and she will have more details, but you can also look at other policy or publications that came out of this project. Again, thank you very much, Madam Chair, for the opportunity.
You're welcome, Dr. Wade. Thank you. And I see that Ronald Gordon's hand went up right away, so let me not hesitate. Mr. Gordon, you are privileged to get the sole question that we'll be taking. Go right ahead.
Thank you. My question is, do you envisage that there's a opportunity for promotion of aquaponics within the vision for promoting aquaculture? Thanks.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you very much, Mr. Gordon. So that's a great question, and something we considered as we were developing the idea for this project. And I think it's what we decided on was as a way to harness what we currently have, or try to work within the enabling framework that we currently have. So aquaculture is being developed across the region. So how can we leverage that? And so once we're able to get that off the ground a bit more, the idea is that we can switch to aquaponics, or even do it for those countries that are already advanced, do it simultaneously as we move on. But I think it's an exciting movement. I think hopefully this library provides that opportunity to do. And so important to the library also includes aquaponics. So I should also put that out there. So if you need, so for information on aquaponics, the library also includes some of that information as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And one thing I can say, if it named library, I'm going to be interested.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Chair.
So that's great. All right.